everyone, and welcome to another episode of Psychology in the Wild, our weekly gathering where we analyze the content, the videos that you send me. This has quickly become my favorite format type of content that I do. I don't know if you guys also like it, but I'm having a lot of fun, and a lot of interesting conversations are also sparking from the videos you send me, so that's very fun. So you know what? Without other introductions, let's just go ahead and start with our first video. Oh, Esther Perel. Okay.
I posted a reel recently that said, healing does not take place in isolation.
Okay.
And a contingent of people made the point of telling me I did heal in isolation. I actually found being by myself very important. Or I am never alone because I have God by my side, and religion makes me feel that I am not just a lonely unit. And all these responses are extremely important. But you know, sometimes it's like saying to someone, it's important to eat healthy. And then they tell you, well, I have been eating burgers and, every day, and here I am perfectly healthy. Therefore, the argument doesn't hold. It's not because it's different for you that it invalidates the actual argument. There is something important to understand from us biologically. We are social creatures. We regulate and co-regulate with others. We need to experience secure attachment so that we can go out into the world to explore and to discover and to play and to be curious and to create. We are primates like all the other primates in that sense. And sometimes it's very important to know this may be the case for others, but that didn't work for me, and that is as it is. But that doesn't mean that the idea itself doesn't have its importance.
Okay, let's discuss about this. This might be controversial, I don't know, but I'm so tired of all of these experts saying you can't do X unless these conditions are met. That's why people push back to such radical comments usually, because we are tired of this type of absolutism, because this conversation needs so much more nuance. In fact, there are parts we heal in solitude. Yeah, we have intrapersonal healing, which is the relationship with yourself, and there's interpersonal healing, the relationship with others. And depending on what you're healing, one may need to come before the other. I don't understand why all of these experts are now dissing all of a sudden time with the self, especially considering the majority of us have wounds that were relational. I mean, guess what? Regulating yourself is just as important as knowing how to co-regulate, because you need different tools to achieve either. Self-regulation needs tools like, breath work and grounding, emotional labeling, and you need to sit with the discomfort without immediately escaping it. You need to build the stress tolerance, learn how to soothe yourself without outsourcing it, and so much more. So you need self-regulation, because having people around you is not a guarantee, which is another thing that many experts simply seem to forget somehow when talking about this. Like the presence of people, their affection, their time availability, and so on are not guarantees. It might sound harsh, but it's true. That means that you cannot build your stability on something you do not control, right? It means people can leave. They can be unavailable. They can be overwhelmed. They can love you and still not know how to regulate you, right? So if your nervous system only knows how to calm down through someone else, what happens when that someone else isn't there for whatever reason, right? Like, listen, work with the self isn't optional. It's what actually makes relationships healthy. When you know how to ground yourself, you don't panic if someone takes distance, right? When you know how to sit with discomfort, you don't force premature closeness just out of sheer panic again. When you can soothe yourself, you don't turn relationships into dependency. So I don't agree with the simplistic view of humans are social creatures. No, I think humans are individual beings embedded in social context. That means individual development happens in relation to others and environments, but individuals also contribute uniquely to those environments, and they can do that only if they first build an internal foundation. So if you've seen the previous episodes, you remember this graphic that I'm going to put up, where we talked about society and how to go from a hierarchy system to a cycle system. And if you remember, I told you that when we talk about individuals, the center of the cycle will always be the self, because it's the only thing that doesn't change throughout your life. You always carry yourself with yourself wherever you go. And that means that we have a period of work with the self and work with others, the same way nature has season, right? The point being, you can heal alone certain parts of yourself. You can heal with people other parts of yourself. But healing happens when you're able to learn how to use each and how they feed into one another, because they do. You don't become whole in isolation. You become yourself. You don't become whole in relationships. You become relationally mature. And so healing becomes this wonderful dance between the two, where you are able to enjoy relationships but not base your stability around them. That was kind of sitting on my chest for some time, it seems, because I feel very satisfied with this chat. What do you think? I would love to hear your opinions about this specifically, because I feel like somehow, again, this is quite controversial for some reason, but like in any topic, I feel like balance is the way to go. You know what I mean? Like, but anyway, I think we have said enough about this. So let's go to the next video that you guys have sent me. Let's see. Is it still on Instagram? Yes, still on Instagram. What's happening here? Oh, what's happening?
I hate you.
Oh, this is very interesting and very healthy.
You're a fucking coward!
Let it out.
Take responsibility for
You're
what
a
I did.
fucking loser!
I don't need to take
Fuck
responsibility.
you! Fuck you, you fucking cunt!
Go, man. Yes.
Fuck you!
Let it out.
I don't need to take responsibility.
You're the fucking man!
Oh, man. Do you hear the sadness beneath the anger?
Fuck you!
The explanations on screen are also on point. And there we are, the sadness, usually beneath all the anger. Yeah. The grief, the sadness.
And what's freeing about this for you, brother, is he's detaching from a childlike attachment and love to his parents. Yeah. And he's willing to embrace letting go of that, to claim sovereignty and be authentic and true to himself. Yeah.
Very, very beautiful what's happening here. So, I don't know if you noticed, but the facilitator, I don't know, Mr. Charles Missy here, while the person was screaming, he kept saying, and I'll take responsibility for it, or I need to take responsibility for it. Chef's kiss. I love that. So I think everyone watching this thinks this is a video about anger. Not exactly. Part of self-regulation is understanding that you never or rarely feel only one emotion. What you feel is an umbrella, a mixture, or maybe even a negotiation between several emotions happening at once. One might be louder, more dominant, and that's what we call usually primary emotion. But underneath it, there's always something else. And that's exactly why anger is so useful to explore as an emotion, because there are at least 3 different emotional logics that show up as anger. We, of course, have anger towards the outside world when someone's actions genuinely violate your dignity, your boundaries, your values, your sense of what's right? This anger is usually serves as a moral or boundary signal. The second type is the triggered anger, when something small in the present activates a wound from the past that never got felt. You're usually not angry at the situation right now. You're angry at an old memory wound. And the third type of anger is toward yourself, when the internalized voice of criticism or unworthiness gets mistaken for your own judgment. This is the anger that doesn't push outward at all, because the wound was never safe enough to be felt when it first occurred, right? So what do these have in common? Pause and answer if you want to play that game. Anger is almost never the real emotion, right? It's a front door, a mechanism the nervous system uses when the actual emotions have never had safe space to arrive, which is why men often struggle with anger a little bit more, because socially speaking, for them it was never safe to express, emotions like grief or vulnerability or shame. And so anger comes up because that's the safest route to feel them, even if just in the background. That's why we want to create a healthy relationship with anger in such a way for you to learn how to listen to it instead of just react to it, so that it becomes a tool for clarity and time. One of the ways you can start this work with anger is to first make sure you learn how to recognize it. So learn to notice the body signals before you act. Right? Like, I don't know, your lump in your throat, that's usually anger. Now, communicate it in a way that preserve connection, and then ultimately use it as information rather than judgment. So in order to help your body feel safe expressing anger, feel free to create what I like to call emotion corners in your house. The point of this exercise is to design controlled emotional environments. Basically, dedicated spaces where your nervous system can actually feel an emotion instead of suppressing it, avoiding it, or exploding into it, which often happens with anger. Most people never learned how to let strong emotions arrive safely in their body, like settle. They either bottle them up or act them out. So creating emotion corners gives you a physical place where emotion can be invited in without with boundaries and safety, right? You can have a corner for anger, but you can also create a corner for anxiety, for grief, or any other feeling you want your body to feel safer experiencing. And keep in mind that each corner is a safe container, a predictable, bounded environment where emotions can unfold without generalizing into, your entire day or your whole life. So the idea here is similar to how a healthy caregiver stays present for a child when they're distressed. The child is allowed to feel in a controlled, contained space where they won't be shamed or ignored. Because, having safe spaces to feel and express emotions helps people actually integrate them rather than suppress them or bypass them, right? So now, in each of these corners, you establish rules. First, the emotion you are working with stays in the corner. It doesn't spill over into the rest of your home or daily routine. 2, the space is emotion friendly. It signals to your nervous system that this is a place where these feelings can happen without danger. And 3, you invite the feeling in intentionally rather than letting it ambush you unexpectedly, right? Like when you decide to go to the corner, you're basically prepping. This mimics the containment and safety a child feels when a caregiver accepts their emotional expression without shaming or rejecting it. And it helps train your nervous system that feeling doesn't have to threaten your sense of safety. So, you'll put in each corner items that support the feeling you want to work with. For an anger corner, you might include, papers to rip apart, pillows to punch, a space where you can shout and stomp or move your body freely, something you can scratch or squeeze safely, and of course, enough space to move your body as impulse naturally wants to move it. One practical tip, if anger or any other emotion feels distant from you or hard to access, you can start by expressing it through your body in the same way a child would. Children naturally express emotion through the body first. They stomp, they scream, they throw themselves on the floor, they shake. The body carries emotion before the mind does. So starting with movement, with sound, where physical expression can help you pick up where you quite literally left off emotionally instead of trying to cut through layers of avoidance or intellectualization. I know most of you are responsible, but I feel compelled to spell it out anyway. The emotion corner isn't about acting out or being uncontrolled, right? We just want to give your nervous system a predictable, safe backdrop so that emotions can go through their cycle and integrate. But how about you let me know, how's your relationship with anger? Leave it in the comments and tell me your journey with it. Or just ask any questions if you need. I'm here literally for that. So I think we have said all that I wanted to say about this video. Let's just go to the next one. This is just a picture. It's a quote. When you continue to be irritated by someone who refuses to change, you also refuse to change. Signed, the universe. Ooh, are we ready for this conversation? Because this one is really uncomfortable. Okay, so I'm gonna hold your head. Most people think their frustration is about the other person, about what they did, about how they behaved, about how obvious it is that they are wrong. And I get it, when you're irritated, you feel clear. You feel also justified, and that's because by the time frustration shows up, you have built the narrative of why this person makes you angry, you have gathered the evidence, and the verdict has been delivered. Therefore, the irritation feels clean, but irritation is rarely clean. Let me give you an example from a session. A daughter keeps trying to get her mother to support her emotionally in the way she needs. So she explains herself very eloquently and carefully. She tries not to sound accusatory. She tries not to sound needy. She gives her mother chances after chances after chances. But every time she walks away with the same ache, and the irritation builds again. Even though the same loop is played out each time, she keeps doing it because as long as she's trying, she can maintain hope. Now, hope is seductive, yeah? It makes you believe that if you just find the right combination of words, the right tone, the right emotional formula, love will respond. And this is where people that have been on this channel for a while know that this is measuring love, care, as protection morphed into measuring love through self-abandonment, right? Self-sacrifice becomes proof, almost like the more I endure, the more I care. Here's another example. A woman is walking outside. A man is playing with a ball close to her, not touching her, not breaking rules or invading her space, right? Just close enough to make her uncomfortable, I guess. Now, immediately the interpretation appears. That's inconsiderate. And maybe, according to her values, it is. Maybe she would never behave like that. Maybe in her internal moral framework, public space should feel, a little bit calmer, perhaps, more contained or more predictable. And that's when we go from, I wouldn't do that, to that shouldn't be done very fast. Right? And so now connection or even coexistence must be predictable. The environment should align with my inner sense of safety, and if it doesn't, that means something is wrong. But public space is pluralistic, right? Different nervous systems, different interpretations of what's considerate and what's not. The world is not sanitized for our internal rule books. And what irritates us isn't always danger. Sometimes it's just unpredictability itself. And this is painful because in both examples, what's being resisted isn't the other person's behavior really. It's adaptation itself, right? The unpredictability to adaptation. In the example with the ball, adaptation might mean accepting that the world will not always align with your comfort settings. In the one with the mother, adaptation might mean grieving the mother you wished you had and restructuring the relationship around who she actually is. The change in this case would be to